We start with one basic question. How old do you think Bangalore is? He said 800 years. Modern Bangalore 500. Okay. Why not 4,000 years? So, what we do is we start. We walk over to a place. We start there and we come back here just for a few minutes. This place is what?
The temple of five.
It is a temple. It is a right. So why do you go to temples? Why do people visit temples? To pray. This temple is 1100 years old. Tirupati, Ikkeri, Belur Halibed, Hampi, all of them are more recent compared to this. That in our town, and probably in your own, a few kilometers from your homes in most cases, is the oldest of the temples in the country in its original form. What you are seeing here is all special architecture which is called Ganga architecture. So if you walk in, you will find this temple is built for largely people of this height, not for me. Because it reminds me that I have a problem every time I come into these temples. It's about 5 feet tall. The doors are even narrower, and very, I would say, simple architecture. You start simple and then you develop it to be complex, right? So this is that. Do look up here. Do you see something here? What is that?
Stone.
Right? And what is in the carving? What is in the carving? What animals are those? What are these? What are these? And what is this? This is a croc. And what are this? Oh, okay. Did you expect to see that in a temple? If you go around here, what you are seeing is a depiction of the Panchatantra tales, many of them here. What's it doing in a temple? You said you come to pray. Who comes to school or classes in a temple? The Panchatantra tales all have takeaways, right? They all have morals. You can make up whatever you want, but fundamentally it is a why are these tales told, especially to children? They were educational. They were essentially used for teaching something. Temples were also schools at one time. And there is always a pathshala which is associated with the temple. Not just for children, for people around as well. This is from 890 AD. What's written in that is, his name is called Eriappa. He's martyred, and this is a stone in his memory. And this is from 900 AD. So how old does that make Kanneli to be? 1100 years. It's pretty unfair to call it New Bangalore. It's been around for 1100 years and we call it as New Bangalore. And it was, as you saw, in the side passage, the setback of a building full of filth. Takes a while, it takes some courage to go in there. And the stone is really in bad shape. Right? If I am a resident of Kanneli or Kaikondranalli or whatever that area, I am this one. This man is the hero thanks to which my locality is around today. Okay. What way are we respecting him? This is the state of inscriptions, of 150 such inscriptions in the city. Every locality you come from has very likely something of this type. This is from 900 AD. This stone is 100 feet from us. We will go see the stone. We will touch it. We will read it. And hopefully it will leave you with the impression that my city was not built by the British, was not built by Kempegowda. It goes back much, much longer. It's 1100 years old. And the proof that it is 1100 years old is in writing, is sitting in this temple. And that's why we chose to see this. Okay. So please come over, let's go see that. This was, as we are walking down from here, from there to here, it was a part of the stones that were on the floor there. People were walking over it, and one smart man by name Narasimhachar, he was the archaeology department head of Mysore. He documented it in 1915 as the first mention of the name Bengaluru in writing ever, and dated this to be from 890 AD. So this is Beng. This is Ga with a Gu. Gu.
So, la.
La. If to Allah, if you do this, like you did here,
Lu.
Lu. This.
Ru. Ra.
Okay, read all of them together.
Bengaluru.
You are get big hand. She read this to be Bengaluru. In English, we write Bangalore. Modern Kannada, the government has made it Benga, not the U. They dropped the U, they became Bengaluru. The original name was Bengaluru. Not very hard. Graffiti is very meaningful, very, very relevant for us. This place that we all call as home existed in 900 AD, and now we can take this off. Yeah? And this is what the stone says is given here. What it says is there was a king chieftain called Nagatara. Nagatara. Nagatara's son and adopted son, their name, Buttana Setti and Perunna, whatever, died in the Bangalore battle. So this is a stone that was put up in memory of them. This was a stone lying there on the floor, which we would have walked over 100 years ago. People are walking over it. It was discovered, it was documented, published in the official records. So you can go home safe. Please come, touch, read, do whatever you want. This is probably the only place in the world you could do this. That you can touch, you can do what we did just now. Children can do all of this. It's a free world for us before it either gets destroyed or put up in a glass case or something. This is one of the oldest pieces of writing in our city. There are a few older, but this is one of the oldest. What makes it more special is it has the name of our city. Now the question was, how old is that temple? How do we know that? The writing on this is 1100 years old. So this man Nagatara, Begur was a kingdom. Okay, at that time, the Gangas were the dynasty, like you have the Cholas, Pallavas and all of those people. The Gangas were ruling here. This man was the head of that district. And he is somebody who we have to really revere. We revere Kempegowda for the fort. We have to revere him for having left us so much information about the city. This next stone that you are seeing there also has a lot of writing, if you can see. Now this same man Nagatara went to around Dodbalapur. He defeated the Rashtrakutas there. Rashtrakutas were north of this place. They were the Andhra and all of that kind of place. So he defeated them there, and because he defeated them, he had this temple called the Someshwara temple built, and that is what is written in this. There's a line there that says, I got the Someshwara temple in Begur built. How old is Begur then? At least 1100 years old. That's a very critical thing, because there is another inscription from about 534 AD where Begur is mentioned. 400 years before this makes Begur 1500 years old. So there's usually a sculpture and there's some writing. Just with the sculpture, you can make lots of guesses. You said this is a god, somebody else will say this is a man, somebody else will say this is a woman, this is a lady because of this. This is all very subjective and subject to interpretations. But this is telling us who is this, what is this. Okay. What is written is very interesting here. The man's name is not given, but it says Tondabe's, that man's daughter is Tondabe. Tondabe's husband died, is what is written. The other thing is, after this man died, a little about half a kilometer up from here is a fort. They call that as a Begur fort. There is a similar stone for the lady Tondabe, who has fasted her to death. Who fasts to death? Which people, which religion do you fast to death?
Jains.
And what is it called? In Kannada we call it Sannyasin. So that's a record of her doing Salekana and dying. This last one here is also a very similar one. We just skip this. This is a more elaborate depiction of a similar scene. There's a man who is died in battle. How I can show is you can see these arrows which have pierced him. He's died in battle. Who is he, what is it, and all is written here. This is a scene of his having reached heaven. It's a celebrated death. And look at him. He is content and happy. All of these are stories of something that happened in Begur 1100 years ago. This is what we call as history. These are our forefathers. These are our people who have set the context for Bangalore to be what it is. It's a shame we don't know them. We need to secure this, number one. More importantly, you need to know the story. I mean, you also have a responsibility towards this. We don't care for this, who else will? So far, what's been the experience like? Learned something new, interesting? Okay, very good. So that was a stone, and there's a writing on that. Where it was where the bags are there, by the wall there. There were a long line of about 15, 20 stones there. They were there in that place for about 100 years. 4 of them have been shifted there and put on pedestals. The rest are still dumped in a corner. The first instance of their Bengaluru you saw was in Kannada. This is the next instance from 1247. Typically the belief is Kempegowda built Bangalore, supposedly around 1537. There are 6 references, 2 in stone, one there and the other one is if you walk down in Madivada in Tamil. There are 4, there are copper plate inscriptions and there are literary references. Pre-1537, all of it show a place called Bangalore existed. So we'll see locality wise a few examples. Domblur, in an inscription stone there, in Kannada and in Tamil, you'll see Domblur written on that. Now we go back, same question. So now, how old is Bangalore? Depends what you're talking about. I can say Bangalore is 1100 years old. I can say Domblur was equally old. I can say Hebbal, which is new one that we are talking, is even older because in a 750 inscription, we have something called Perbodal. Per has become Ha. It's become Perbodal, Pebbol, Hebbol, Hebbal. Hebbal is written on the stone and that's from 750 AD. Not just that. It's not just that the foreign population is flocking to Bangalore today. These are Roman coins from 27 AD, which were found in 3 different places. Roman traders were here 2000 years ago. It's not an international global city today. It was global then. Please look this up carefully. The larger the font, the older the place. And I have deliberately kept away the JP Nagars, Indira Nagars and whatever names from this. If you are from there, you will identify a place within. The oldest is Hebbal, 750 AD. There's a place, Pina is Dodbidarkal, 750 AD. We see in Bangalore, there's one inscription stone here, which is now shifted to the museum. That Nagatara, his own Veergallu is shifted to the museum because it's exquisite, beautiful. And somebody 100 years ago had the sense, if they left it here, it would get destroyed, so they shifted it to the museum when the Bangalore Museum was built. In it are the names of 12 places, all around here. There is obviously Begur, Togur, Kudlu, all the 12 localities around here, Bomnalli included, all of them, feature in a 900 AD inscription stone. So those names you will see Kudlu and all of that there. Pattandur was what we spoke about. ITPL Whitefield is not new. It's been around for a while. Allal Sandra, Dev Sandra. The smallest one I'm showing you here, I think is, all of them are pre-Kempegowda by the way. There are inscriptions in every one of these places, which give the names of the place, which tell something that happened there. What is that something? Building of a temple, building of a lake, donation to a temple, building of the village itself, which is the foundation stone for that locality. Okay? So every place you come from, I bet, is here, and I have not included all of them, because of space issues, has a history going back like that. And this is history which is relevant to every one of us, and history we ought to know, we ought to celebrate and cherish, and make sure we get trampled upon, don't get trampled upon by people who say this is a new happening place. It's not. Fantastic things have happened here before. Many of the lakes here have this similar 800 to 1000 odd year old histories. Any lake you want to take at random and look it up here, and I can explain about those for you as well. Why are we neglecting these lakes today? It has an impact. This place prospered because of the lakes. The aggregation and the irrigation was from there. The drinking water supply came from there. But when we moved away from lakes to river-based system, pipeline-based system, we neglected the lakes. All our lakes are today filthy, basically because we don't use that water. Had we used the water, we would not have dirtied them this way. The movement is to go back. As you know, we have enough rain here, we don't need to get water from elsewhere. This is the story of the lakes in our city. That was the story of the localities of our city. And you'll see a lot of things. What are the messages that are coming out? Lakes, trade. I showed you a Roman example, but so many of them are also donations by traders. Donations, by the way, are very interesting. They don't give money like we do today. Priests are paid salaries by the government today. Similarly, the king would have had to support the temple for something. All that you saw there were tax exemptions. Even now, we have different types of taxes. You pay tax for petrol, you pay tax for water, you pay tax for power, you pay tax for everything, right? Same way, earlier we had taxes. So what is written there is, in lieu of those taxes, what taxes is specified, wetland tax, from these areas is to be given to the temple instead of giving to the king. Okay. So it gives us an idea of the economic model in operation at that time. It gives the names, it gives the language, it gives the trade, it gives the economic model of the time, the professions. You get a lot of information from inscriptions, which is not just Cholas ruled here, Hoysalas ruled here. Who the hell cares? People in the past, I don't care. For me, there is more relevant information happening in that, which we need to know and we need to value. All of these have been documented for 100 years. Typically, when we are doing this work, somebody comes up and says, sir, there is one lying in my home, in my lake, in my village, in my whatever. Can you also come and help us with that? Many times these are already documented, so there's not much to do except that restore its dignity and put it up in a nice place. Sometimes it's not even documented, so it's the first time anyone's even noticing it, so it needs to be deciphered and the story told. So we were doing a similar thing in Hebal. While this one was lying by the wall there, those were 4 stones which were lying in a gutter in the road. Okay, so they were widening the road and they filled up that pit on the roadside with jelly, and they were going to white top that. So one of the locals got in touch and said, it looks like it's something valuable. Our local residents will not touch it because there is a fear, there is a superstition associated with these stones. You should not touch it, you should not read it. There's a curse associated with that. So they will not do anything in Hebal for that. Would you mind coming and helping us move and secure these stones? We went and lifted those stones. The bottom half had writing. From the bottom part of that stone, which is a Virgalu, like what we saw there, had Kannada writing from 750 AD. It's the oldest writing in the city found to date. It was lining a drain, right? I don't think we ought to allow something as precious as that to be sitting in a roadside drain, because most of these stones are not good looking. As you would have seen, most of you would not even glanced at it otherwise. So it needs to be housed and showcased in something a little bit more attractive. There's a difference between folklore, hand-me-down stories, and history. History is factual. Factual is you see the stone, it's written, you verify it, you validate it, you know how old Bangalore is. Hand-me-down story is there's no substantiating evidence. It's just been told. Almost everything that you have heard language, religion, people, race, culture, all have shades. So if you buy into a certain theory, I'll say go ask, validate. It's okay. Beliefs are different from facts. Okay.